Hey everybody, this is Alex Goff from FloRugby. We're in the Flow Sports studio, and we're pretty excited. We have a very special guest here to talk to us a little bit about his rugby journey. And this is a guy that really, if we're talking about the best sevens players in the world, this guy is in the conversation, and maybe, in my opinion, definitely should be Player of the Year. Finished up playing for the United States as they finished 5th in the world, and Perry Baker led the entire series with 285 points scored and 57 tries by a pretty wide margin, leading everybody in that, and also leading in clean breaks with 76. A fantastic season for this Florida product, Perry Baker. And Perry, we're very excited to have you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, great to have you here, and I think we need to hit it hard. First of all, you scored those 57 tries off those 76 clean breaks. What happened in those other 19 clean breaks that you couldn't finish it off? What went wrong?
I figure the defense started figuring me out.
They started keying on you. Now, you did lead the series in tries. Was that important to you to get that kind of accomplishment under your belt?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I always just think of when I get the ball to try and finish, because that's my job. And I know when you put points on the board, you can give yourself a chance to win. And that was our whole mission of this season, was winning and trying to break into the top 4. So I just wanted to become a better all-around player and just take my game to another level. And I trusted in my teammates, and they trusted in me. So that's what kind of helped me get to them 57.
We've seen a few things that have changed in your game over the last couple of years. I think that, yes, you've got the sidestep and the breakaway speed. That's all great. But you've added a kick and chase to your game, and you've added a little bit more defense, a little bit harder hitting defense. And I think the third thing might be awareness on the tackle, being able to poach a ball, steal a ball and a tackle. And tell me a little bit about developing the kicking skills and those defensive skills over the last year.
Well, I mean, when I first came on the circuit, no one knew who I was, and then after a couple of the stops, they started saying he's really fast, he's really fast. So it's like rugby, you have to be very smart and thinking all the time. And it was like, what else can I do besides be smart? Like, teach me. I want to be able to kick like Dan Norton. So my coaches and stuff was like, yeah, you can implement that in your game. So a little bit in the off season and during the season too, I'll have like time to myself, and talking with who I look as a mentor was dang, my mind just went blank for a minute. Robinson from England.
Oh yeah.
I was talking with him, and he was telling me like what I can do. He's like, it's never should be an excuse for you not to be able to work on your craft, even though you're at training. So I began to learn how to kick here and there, being taught by Madison Hughes, what worked for you, how could you do it? Coach Friday, Coach Brown, they're all trying to teach me different little aspects of how to kick, and so I was just trying to implement that to the best of my ability. And then the tackling part, I just think I just became more smart because I still had the football mentality of just going to attack instead of being able to wait on it. And you can be patient and knowing when to attack. If you look at how Danny Barrett runs, Danny never really takes the hit. He always give it. So it's like, as a defensive player, how do you know when to attack that? So it's like, wait till Danny think you're going to tackle, then give a little bit. So it was just like learning different stuff. So I was like working with Danny. I like working with the big guys to try and figure out how to tackle and do different techniques and stuff. And then just Phil Greenan is a genius, so listening to him on how to be at the breakdown and listening to my teammates, it's all about communication. They're telling you to push through, or you can poach the ball, or if you think you can, you get your feet fast enough. So it's just a lot of training that go into it. So it can be like just a second nature for me, just to be quick to do it.
Well, it's good to always try to educate yourself and ask other players what they could do to contribute to, it's interesting you're talking to players from other teams as well. We can go back a little bit in time. I remember seeing you play at the Club Nationals in 2006, so that was a million years ago, back for Daytona. You're playing the wing, but also going in on the restarts and wearing some weird half shirt thing. It was very 1980s. But tell me a little bit about learning rugby. I know you were playing football as well. Learning rugby. Brian Richardson there, getting you on that team in Daytona. What did that do to get you started?
What's so funny is that I was never taught rugby then. Like everyone thinks like sometimes when Coach Friday talks, he'd be like, "Well, Perry was behind the scenes learning rugby." When I started in 2006 under Brian Richardson, which he was my position coach in high school, which I played receiver. And he never taught me anything. He just told me to run. That's it. And then he was like, if I feel like I get tackled, I can stop and pass someone else the ball. But it was so crazy is my first tournament I played with them, I made a tackle, but I tackled like football. I just dove at someone's legs and took their legs out. And everyone went crazy. And then Brian's running on the field like, no, he don't understand. This is his first tournament. He don't know. And it's like, look, you have to wrap up tackle. I'm like, okay. But so it was just, he never taught me anything about the breakdown. I never knew any of that really. I just was clueless out there. I was just running. And then I was young. I was 18 playing with like 24-year-olds and 25-year-olds and bigger guys. So I could outrun them a little bit. So
yeah, you could.
Easy then. And then so I went to Tiger Academy in Ohio, and that's where I really started learning the game because it was more of teaching. So I started learning a little bit about the breakdowns, what it's called, like what to do, try to learn on passing and things like that, which when I played for Daytona in 2006, passing wasn't implemented in my game. None of it was. So it was like I never knew it. So me and Brian always talk about that to this day. We're always laughing about it.
Yeah, he got you on the field, and then we still had some work to do. Now tell me a little bit about what it's like for you to be, it's interesting, a professional rugby player, professional sevens player, but we all know that you guys aren't making $1 million, and there are decisions to be made, I think, every year for a player in your situation, whether you can do this, whether you can play full-time on the circuit. It obviously looks like a ton of fun, a great lifestyle. But how is it for you to look and say, okay, I can do this another year, I can make this work?
I mean, it's just all about perseverance. Like, keep trying. I mean, over time, rugby has changed in the States. I mean, it went from them making no money, basically, and I'm not saying we make money now, but it was like we have something coming in, And it is hard for me right now because I'm older. I'm 31 years old. I have a fiance. I want to have a family, So it's like I can't keep playing for nothing, Even though when I first started, it was like I'm willing to do this. And that was my thing of deciding to do rugby or not, like take football or do rugby. And I was asked the question, if money wasn't involved, which one would I do from the jump? And I would take rugby. But, of course, the money talks. So it's just where I'm at right now is like I just want to break into the top 4 for sure, and I want to win a medal. So it's like I'm going to give myself to 2020. I mean, so much can happen over the next couple of years. And even right now, stuff can happen. I mean, so that's the only thing that drives me is I still have some unfinished stuff that I want to do. And that's medal. That's make it to the Olympics again. That's break into the top 4.
All right. The Olympics now, it's a great experience to be in the Olympics and to compete. And every athlete says it's such a special thing to compete and represent your country at the Olympics. But at the same time, USA came out of that, didn't make the top 8, and I have to say that you guys are probably a little bit disappointed in that. And you say that you've got unfinished business. So at some point, with the American Olympic experience, there's the competing, but there's also the winning.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to, you want to win.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you look at the Olympics, and but when I first came, we was like ranked 13th in the world, and we wasn't even supposed to be qualifying for the Olympics. Like no one thought that U.S. would be in the Olympics. So I feel like we are definitely ahead of the ball. I mean, we qualified for Rio. No one was expecting us to qualify for Rio. We wasn't even supposed to be there. And then like you said, just one or two little things happened in that first game that definitely changed the outcome for us. Could we have played for the podium? Definitely, we believe that. But it's a game of rugby and things happen, and it just didn't go our way. So, I mean, good thing that we can have the opportunity to do it again.
All right, good.
So we'll see how that turns out.
On the circuit, going back, you have a lot of desire to train as hard as you do to get back there. Tell me a little bit about some of the people you're playing against. I mean, what player is your toughest opponent?
Player? I wouldn't say necessarily a player. I would go with team-wise.
Yeah.
And I just hate Samoa, New Zealand. I hate a slot defense. Because everyone there, and then it's so tricky with Scotland how they play there. They drop off so high, so it's like really, really hard to get around that. So you have to be patient. It's all a patient thing with them. So whenever you have a slide defense, you always have a wall in front of you. So it's kind of tough. So I would just go with more of a team aspect than being a particular player. I mean, it's always fun playing against the Dan Nortons and the Sanatlas. It's just the other wingers in Vakatawa. It's always fun to play against those guys. I mean, because they're great guys, So then you have, I guess, what everyone wants to call a battle now. And it's pretty cool to see. I mean, Vakatawa tells me all the time, I'm not going to score. I'm not going to get around them. And things like that. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. It's pretty cool.
That's good. Now, do you hang out with some of the players from the opposing team? Who are the guys who you like to hang out with?
I don't really hang out with outside like that, outside of it. But I do talk to them in between matches or when we're traveling or something. South Africa is a nice team. I like talking to those guys. England, I get along well with the Cavatier, call him Big Rich. Those guys are pretty cool. I like those guys. They're always having fun. Dan Norton, I talk to Dan. There's quite a few guys on the circuit that I like to talk to. I never got the chance to talk to Sonny Bill because he ended up getting hurt, but I wanted to pick his brain for a little bit.
Well, that would have been fun. That would have been nice to hear that conversation. And we talk about winning, and finally, USA has won a tournament. It wasn't this past year, but you have got a tournament win under your belt. But you didn't get one this year. You only had overall a really consistent year. How important is it for you to get that tournament win? Do you target them and say, we want to win another one, another two? What do you talk about?
Oh, it's definitely important. Now, first start with believing, and once the team started believing that we can actually do it, then that's when the consistency came. I mean, everyone always talk about us getting over the hump of South Africa because we was losing to them in the semis 3 or 4 tournaments in a row. And then finally, we didn't meet them in the semis, and we make it to the finals, and they was like, oh, this is your chances. And we ended up falling short to Canada. But it was just good to be back there playing in the finals. I mean, because it took us 2 years to even get back there. So, I mean, once we felt that, we felt like we was on the path to do it again, and we fell short in London the next tournament after. So, I mean, it's just all about believing and sticking together. And we had the same consistent guys that was steady playing. That's what we needed. We needed that. So once we started getting that, I felt like we was getting on a good pace. So we're excited, looking for next season to pick up where we left off from. I mean, we're so close to breaking in the top 4, and so our plan was for the last 2 years to be in the top 4, and then we'll see what happens after that. But let's achieve this goal first.
Well, we'll see what happens after that. But first of all, World Rugby, you got to know this is the top offensive player in World Sevens right now, top try scorer, top runner, great defensive player, much improved on all the finer aspects of the game. Should be the World Sevens Player of the Year. That's what we think. Perry Baker, very happy to have you on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.